Dear Kathy, first of all, thank you very much indeed for your kind words. 30 million fathers and mothers, patients, people, 30 million like-minded, our members of our society, and formally speaking, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say that thank you very much indeed for this invitation to me to be with you today in Rare Diseases Day. I would like to thank, of course, EURORDIS with bringing us together today and for its commitment to improving the lives of people suffering from rare diseases, to improving lives of people. It's so impressive to speak about that because of it's our obligation. And indeed, the motto of the day, rare but real, encapsulates well the reality of over 30 million people in Europe. Can you imagine every day how is difficult to solve those difficult problems, speaking about those diseases and so on. Every day, how those people are courageous people. I am so proud to be here today. People struggling with uncertainty about their disease, suffering in isolation, trying to get the right diagnostics and then the right care. People hoping that someone will discover what is wrong with them and find a remedy to reduce their suffering. People not knowing whether or not they can be cured. The medical expert who can diagnose or treat such rare disease may live in another region, in another country, or in another member state capital. Knowledge on the rare disease in question is likely to be insufficient and scattered. This is where the European Union can have a real impact. We can help in pooling together knowledge and expertise across the European Union and in fostering research and cooperation, and also in granting authorization to the best medicines. I believe that health for all, regardless of social status or the condition people suffer from, is a fundamental right. Let us recall the aims of the Treaty of the European Union. I quote from the preamble: "We are resolved to ensuring the safety and security of people, of all of us. The Union's aim is to promote peace, its values, and well-being of its people." Can you imagine how it's important, the well-being for patients with rare disease? I quote further from Article 3, "The Union shall combat social exclusion and discrimination." And of course, Article 168 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the EU. Recall the aim: a high level of human health protection shall be ensured in the definition and implementation of all Union policies and activities. We must all ask our governments, our parliamentarians, our commissioners, to be active to improving such very excellent goal. That it is not something high above, far away from reality. It is our duty to apply the treaty principles in all our work, starting right here with ensuring the well-being and safety of people with rare diseases and combating any form of exclusion and discrimination against them. Today we will hear about problems and also solutions from those who know them best, the patients. I intend to listen to patients and to continue involving patients in our decision-making process. I am committed to using all the tools at my disposal to help people with rare diseases to access the best possible diagnostics and care. I count on you to tell me what more Europe can do to help. Europe has already come a long way in fostering cooperation in rare disease. Please look, this first slide. Yes. In 2009, only 4 countries in Europe had such national plans on rare diseases. Today, 20 member states have adopted national plans on rare diseases. You know, 20, but we have 28. We must be active and encourage 8 member states to follow those 20, and of course to take good example and to be ready to prepare such national action plans. Of course, this is significant progress. Let's look second. Action on rare diseases now features prominent in the European Union Health Programme and in the Research and Innovation Programme Horizon 2020. Under the previous program, covering 2007-2013, the European Union has already invested 620 million on rare disease research. It's a huge amount of money. In addition, the European Commission further supports rare disease research. Understanding the mechanisms of rare diseases and finding treatment gives millions of patients hope for a cure. In this context, the Commission has driven initiatives such as the International Rare Disease Research Consortium, which aims to deliver 200 new therapies for rare disease. And I am ready to encourage member states to be more active on creating such consortium. The Commission is helping member states transpose the directive on patients' rights in cross-border healthcare correctly, so that European Union translates into reality for patients. Please, next slide. We are also working on the creation of European reference networks, in particular for rare diseases, which I believe will improve patients' access to the best available expertise and treatment. And you know, it's not so easy to encourage member states to be more active in possibilities to completely to start in 2016 to having such European reference networks. It's if you see national networks system and European reference networks, we must say that we must to organize some new debates about possibilities to be more active in 2016, bearing in mind that we must complete our job. Furthermore, the Commission supports access to information about rare diseases, in particular through Orphanet, the portal for rare diseases and orphan drugs, which has become the world reference for knowledge on rare diseases. Finally, the European Commission has authorized over 100 orphan medicines under the European Union regulation on orphan medicinal products, so as to improve access and availability for treatment. I now intend to streamline the framework for orphan medicines by reviewing certain guidelines to facilitate the entry of innovative products into the market and to ensure the patients get early access to treatment. We have come a long way. There is still a long way to go, however, if we are to ensure that each and every person with a rare disease gets the support, diagnostics, and treatment they need. We must build up stronger cooperation between stakeholders and member states. This is why I intend to launch later this year a joint action on rare diseases to beef up cooperation in this area. Like-minded friends, ladies and gentlemen, I believe European action can make a difference in improving the lives of people with rare diseases. And I am committed to working with EURORDIS and all stakeholders to maximize our work towards delivering European solutions to address rare diseases. And I am ready to hear you, to cooperate with you and stay with you together. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much for those very inspiring words. I think it's fair enough as a European citizen that I would say that the rare disease is a success story, a real European success story. It shows the power of the European Union. Of course, much more could be done, more action is required, and you've really been very eloquent in really stating that. And it's wonderful to hear your commitment to work with EURORDIS, to work with other stakeholders, to really push forward that agenda, and thank you very much for that. It's been a great start to the day. I'm going to move on, and we're going to hear another European perspective, this time a perspective from a member of the European Parliament, and I'm very pleased to invite Philippe de Backer up to the podium just to give his perspective on this important topic of rare but real.
Thank you very much, and also from my side, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear Mr. Commissioner, dear colleagues. I must have said that I'm quite impressed by the speech given by the Commissioner. I could stop here and say that we from the European Parliament will give him full support for the implementation of the different plans. But of course, I would like to add maybe one or two things from my side, and also I think from many colleagues from the Parliament, because indeed rare diseases have been also in the center of people who have been working around healthcare and well-being of people in the European Parliament. I think we now acknowledge very strongly that there is indeed a strong need for a European framework, a European cooperation, but many of the challenges that we still face today are problems which we can only solve with the help of member states. We have done a lot of things. You have made reference to, of course, the centers of excellence and the cooperation, Orphanet, the investment being done in research and development, not only for new drugs, but also for early diagnosis, the training of doctors and medical workers to assure that they can correctly diagnose patients early on, because I think that's one of the major challenges that we are still facing today, is of course because we are talking about rare diseases. Medical professionals are not faced every day with these kind of conditions, and I think therefore also the fact that information is shared across the European Union, making doctors aware of certain typologies of diseases, can also help direct patients directly into the right treatment and to the right possibilities which are available across Europe. So I think that you have sketched out, I think, what is important and exists today and what we need to do still. I think, for example, on information sharing there, I think indeed towards medical workers, that's the first step, but also towards patients, making patients also more aware that there are people already organized, that there are groups helping those people also cope with the rare diseases, I think is one huge step forward. On research, I think there, indeed, the framework that exists today is helping also pharma companies in developing and stepping more into drug development also for these rare diseases. Before I joined the European Parliament, I was active in this. I had a background in molecular biology, and I was investing in young startup biotech companies, and more of those companies also moved into the field of rare diseases for several reasons, because the framework in Europe was adequate and okay, but also because they felt committed and also wanted to do something in this field of rare diseases. But at the same time, you also sense that there is also a shift in the pharma landscape going. We are talking today about orphan and rare diseases, but of course with the coming of personalized medicines, maybe more and more diseases will become rare and orphan diseases. So I think also there we need a mind shift, and Madam Moderator, you called for this mind shift also, I think, from the pharma industry in saying, okay, what is the framework that we need in order to develop also within the framework of personalized medicines and orphan diseases and rare diseases? What kind of framework do we need in order to go through clinical trials, bring drugs to the market, bring diagnostics to the market much earlier and much faster than today? One of the biggest challenges that I see today still is, of course, the access to healthcare and the access to treatment in rare diseases. I think when you compare the 28 member states across the European Union, you see huge differences in access to healthcare. Some of the, let's say, Western European countries have adequate forms of. Also there, you see still debates on whether or not the reimbursement of a certain drug or a certain therapy is not too expensive for the healthcare system to bear. So I think there, indeed, with the help of member states, we need to take a step forward. And I think that the way that our healthcare systems are organized today at the national level are not adequate to do that. And I think here Europe really has to change a mind shift. It will not be easy. It will, I think, initially come up with a lot of resistance from member states, from stakeholders maybe, from pharma companies maybe. But I do want to end here with making a very bold suggestion to the Commissioner and also to you. And of course, I'm also looking forward to feedback on that. Because I think if you really want to tackle the access to healthcare for rare diseases, we need to set up a European structure. The only way that you can negotiate with pharma companies who are willing enough to invest in these rare diseases is also to make sure that they have one European counterparty to talk to. So setting up a European fund to talk with these pharma companies who have made available new therapies for these rare diseases, I think is a step forward. I think it would solve the problem for pharma companies. They don't have to negotiate with 28 different national reimbursement schemes anymore. So for them, I think it would be a relief of administrative burden. I think for member states themselves it will be helpful because they can then negotiate at European level, not for the 5 or the 10 or the 50 patients that they have in each member state, but for 500 million citizens at European level and for many more people who are suffering from rare diseases. At the same time, I think you also therefore decrease the cost for the national healthcare systems. They can buy in from the European fund based on the pro rata and the number of patients that they have in the country. Even maybe if you want to increase solidarity, also include some GDP adjustments, for example. And I think this will create a much fairer system, a much more open system, and also for patients a much more easier accessible system and a much more adequate way of providing the necessary healthcare. And you even, as a benefit, deal with the problem of transfer pricing at the same time. So I think also there, both from the industry and for the national healthcare systems and for ultimately the patients, this is a system I think we have to put in place over the next coming years to make sure that indeed our patients have access to the necessary healthcare and the existing diagnosis and drugs which are out there. This would be my addition to your plans, and I hope that we can work together from the Parliament with the Commission to convince Member States that this is the way forward to deal with their problems, which they also as politicians at national level face, being confronted with very high prices sometimes and having to explain to the public and to patients and to parents of patients that they are not going to be reimbursed for an existing drug, an existing treatment on the market. So maybe this you can also take on board in your plans. I hope to also in the next couple of days, weeks, months, years, to continue this debate with you, all the stakeholders, the patients, the doctors, the excellence centers, the research community, to make sure that rare diseases stays high on the agenda and we can make sure that things are moving forward, not only in words, but also in practice. Thank you very much.